Council meeting minutes.
Recommendation that council adopt the minutes of November 1st, 2017 special council meeting as presented.
All in favor? And for November 6th, 2017, regular council meeting minutes.
Recommendation that council adopt the minutes of the November 6th, 2017 regular council meeting as presented.
Councilor Howe. All in favor? Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none. It's just a petition to delegations and 5-1 the Your Day Society. Barry Cosgrove and Sheena Ernst. Welcome.
Hello.
Floor is yours. I don't know if that mic's on or not.
There's a button right under the collar.
Awesome. Can you hear me? Good evening. I am Terry Cosgrove. I am chair of the TR Days Society. Sheena could not be here tonight. I am here tonight to talk about GrisFest, particularly where we want to see GrisFest going in 2018. GrisFest 2017 was a very challenging year for us right from the beginning. There was a lot of confusion on whether there would be any district or community center involvement. This made for a very late start for us. It only really gave us 4 months to plan and execute the festival. We did see a lower attendance this year, and it was much more difficult to pick a lineup. And with Canada's 150th birthday, we were really behind, and most artists were already booked up. Last year, council came to us with a letter and said they wanted our board to take over and give us the in-kind donation in cash. Last year, we weren't ready for that. But that's what brings me here tonight. We would like to request that the district continues to support GrisFest, and instead of providing the $40,000 in-kind donation of staff and equipment, we would like to receive the $40,000 in cash. This allows us to have the option to hire other nonprofit companies or organizations and shop around for lower rates to cut costs. We are also a nonprofit. For us, this year, our 2018 planning started October 24th at our AGM. We formed a board of directors, and the board decided they wanted to move forward without the community center involvement and work independently. Since then, we have got a new address, a new box number, phone number, and email. We've started an inventory of merchandise and assets. We've talked with the chamber, and we've decided to become members, and we will have pamphlets printed, and we'll put them in the visitor information center. And we've talked to them, and they are willing to sell our merchandise year-round for the 20% commission. We have also secured ticketing this year through Encana Event Center, and we will be having a Christmas pre-sale starting December 1st to the 24th. And tickets will be available online for a super low price of $55. This is half the normal price. We will also be at the December 16th craft fair selling tickets, and we will have a limited quantity free gift for our local 242 crew if you buy it there. One of our directors, Bill Woods, has approached the churches about taking over our kids' games area. They have definitely shown interest, and they want to talk again in the spring, and this would really take a load off our board. We have also altered our tickets so that kids 12 and under will be free again with a paying adult. Amanda Blunden, another one of our directors, has been in contact with April Cooper about helping to attract both local and distant vendors for this year's GrisFest. And our board has decided to waive any vendor fee for any local nonprofit if they wish to be a presence on the grounds. Sarah Waters from the Geopark has already expressed an interest in being there. We have also secured the Dawson Creek Waterfill Station for 2018, and Jesse Olson Design here in Tumbler Ridge is already working on our t-shirts and our logo. We also have a new board member this year. It's JC Coots from Rock 97.7 in Grand Prairie. And we feel he's gonna be a very valuable asset going forward this year with advertising and marketing. This is what we've done this month. We are months and months ahead of where we have been in any year. We would like a chance to do this on our own timetable. We would like to thank the District of Tumbler Ridge and the Community Center for all their hard work they've done over these past years. And we're hoping you are still willing to support this event going into its 17th year.
Thank you. Does anybody on council have any questions? Councilor Hall?
I just had a comment towards that. I mean, that's what you're coming in asking for now is exactly what the direction this council wanted to go towards, and that
Yes.
you're more ready to do it now.
Yes, we
It's unfortunate that had to happen, that you guys weren't ready for it, and maybe that's partly our fault to not have brought it forward to you. But to me, I think that's a step in the right direction. I also think, and this is a question through to Mr. Wall, does this also help us get away from any legal liabilities being associated with Grizzfest?
I would want to see more on what the plan is before I comment on that.
Okay.
Sounds like it's a detanglement of Grizzfest in the district, yes.
Okay. And then, would it be your intention at any point to do what we had suggested previously, to utilize district staff for any portion of the event at the rates that we had provided to you guys? Or would it be, we're gonna do it all on our own, we're gonna set up the stage on our own and tear it down?
Actually, I do have a handout for everyone, and I wasn't sure if I could give that out to you tonight or not, but it is expressing what we want, and we would, this is for us, we are asking for kind of a leeway year. We are going into this without any training. I know last year I did come in here asking for a paid coordinator to train with our then coordinator, Joy McKay, and I was denied. So we are going into this without training. We are all board members, and we have been for years and years. However, Joy's job, we never had a part of that. We did our own thing, right? So we are learning as we go, and we are hoping that you will be wanting to work with us. And we are kind of hoping, because the stage is its own setup, we are hoping that maybe that year, this 1 year, you could give us that in kind, setting the stage up, keeping track of hours and what it will cost to actually put this up, so that going forward, year after year, we know when we want that stage put up, we contract that out to the community center. And anything going forward, we are going to be looking into what is the best value for us. We are a nonprofit. We do not see any money from this. So we need to do what we can. We want to hire other nonprofits. We want to hire organizations like Junior Rangers, anything like that, the grads. Any way that we can support our locals, and we're doing that with almost everything we do here. And we want to continue to do that. We should all do well.
Thank you.
Councilor Kukaka?
Thank you. That's good to hear that what you guys are thinking of doing. The stage, I'm glad to hear that you're looking at having, because it is a thing there. What brought you guys to doing the 1200 free in 2018? What was that decision?
In recent, I'm not sure how many years it's been, the past couple of years, we decided to go, Encana convinced us that we should be charging for children. And we have let 7 and under in free the past couple of years, but we noticed we are actually losing the parents by losing the children. And we don't want to lose either one. We do have a kids area. This is a family festival, and we're quite proud of that. So if we let the kids in, we're hoping their parents will come with them.
And I think you'll get that because you hear that comment lots, right?
Yes.
Now I got to pay for myself, my wife, now I pay for my 12-year-old or 11-year-old.
Yeah,
and it gets expensive, right?
It can be super expensive, and that's another reason that we are doing this super low price. It is a pre-sale. We have never, in the history of Grizzfest, had a pre-sale this early. And never at this price, and this price will never get any better, so get your tickets before the 24th.
That's on to you.
I think it's great that you already have the chamber, the geopark, that there's partnerships locally being brought to that. Good luck.
Thank
Your Worship. As a past director on the Grizzfest board for many years, I just want to take the time to thank all the volunteers. I know exactly what goes into putting this festival together, And, you know, you've got a great start for this year. I agree that the 12 and under, that's a good thing to bring back. I know that was kind of a hard one that was tossed up in the previous years. You know, it's always something, whether it's weather, you know, the fires last year, it's funny, but you know, there's such an importance to outdoor festivals. There's a real importance to live music, and I think the connection that our youth get when they get to see bands that are current, it keeps them in the real world. And I think the festival is just, you know, one of those events that you want to promote. And I know in our strategic planning, it's always been one of those things that we want to promote and work on keeping our events going. So I know there was a talk, Councillor Hall asked about just, you know, the legal side of things. I think, you know, with the festival being on district property, there's always going to be a connection with the district. Anything that's happening on the grounds, you know, so those are things you're going to look at. You know, the stage going up, that's a big deal. Stage isn't the TR Day Society. That was a tent bought in the year that Mayor Alves was here, and that was for the festival. But I mean, putting that up, that's the one thing you got to get right. And you know, you're gonna need, and Ken has been great. Our staff, our community center staff, they are wonderful on that weekend and how they get things done, set up. But I mean, to look forward, like to move forward with the event and grow the event, it's hard to do it on the high school grounds. I mean, if we had an area where you had a permanent stage and permanent fencing, those are two of the biggest kind of challenges with getting the festival, you know, going on that weekend. But anyway, I will be at Grisfest again, and good luck to all the board members on getting it organized.
I'm glad to see that you're talking more with the locals, because our residents have a big investment into Grisfest. They've had it for quite a few years. I think it seemed to get carried away that we gotta figure a way of bringing people into town. And yeah, that's important. But bringing the people from town to Grisfest is just as important, and maybe more. And I hear that from what you said tonight, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for your presentation. That's wonderful.
Thanks. Can I leave these with you so that you can?
Hey, button two, Dennis Gillen and April Cooper. Welcome. Pickle carrots are awesome.
Thank you. I have salsa for you too, Will.
Gonna butter us up.
Welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, this is our report to the council regarding the Grizzly Valley Fall Fair that we held on September 16th. First of all, a huge thanks to the council for the fee for service grant, I think is what it's called. I wasn't sure when I wrote this. For the porta potties, the chairs, the tables that we didn't have to pay to have brought in. Huge thanks for that. It was really appreciated. Also, thanks go out to Mayor McPherson and Councillors Kirby and Scott for participating in the Mayor's Favorite Chili Contest and the Council's Favorite Apple Pie Contest. We're hoping that next year we'll have more entries, but for a first-time event, we thought we did pretty well. The fair this year was much bigger than last year's, both in events and in participation. We had approximately 400 adults pay $2 each to enter the fair, but this was a very weak spot in our fair organization, and we missed a lot of people. So we estimate that we had about 1,500 people, including vendors and, you know, families, adults and children, but we caught about 400 at the admission table. Part of that was because we didn't have on-site parking, and so people were walking through the woods from the ball diamonds, and then they would miss our admissions table, which was on the other side. So that was a logistical thing that we have to improve. most vendors stayed overnight on Friday night, and so there were spin-off benefits to hotels and restaurants, grounds. We're already planning for next year, and we have new ideas. There was one interesting thing. I was talking to Dr. Helm, and he said that he had been leading a hike to the Murray Canyon overlook, and he said, well, we could go on farther because the colors were nice, and the people said, well, no, we can't. We have to go back to the fair. And so that was pretty cool. And he said, why? I said, well, we're trying to incorporate different parts of the geopark so that we can make it something that draws a lot of people in for a lot of reasons. And he said, well, why couldn't we do a fall fair hike where you hike in the morning and come to the fair in the afternoon? And those are the kind of things that we're thinking about. We have ideas like a ball tournament. April wants a street dance. More vendors. The Saddle Club wants to host a Gymkhana and a horse show. It'd be nice to have more animals because a fall fair traditionally is a country and farm event supporting agriculture. We did have Chambers Farm from Fort St. John brought their horse and wagon and gave wagon rides, so that was pretty cool, and it lends a very farm type atmosphere, country atmosphere to the fair. We also benefited from a grant from the community forest, which enabled us to get the Quonset hut floor finished off and lighting so that you could actually see. Probably the area we need the most improvement in is in the exhibits because they were very, very small. But that's okay. We are working onward and upward, and we've got some ideas for challenges that we hope will bring people in. The good thing about the fair was that so many different people from the community volunteered their time and their service. Because we were operating with pretty much no budget at all, we didn't pay musicians, we didn't pay judges that judged the exhibits. People just donated their time, and it was a really positive experience, I think, to just know that so many people found value in the fair. So we've got a lot to learn, and we already know some improvements we want to make, but most sincerely we want to thank you for your support, because it really did make a difference in hosting the fair, making it possible.
I also would like to thank everyone. I found that it was very successful for our first year. I just came from one of the largest markets in the Peace at the Encana Center this weekend, and I was approached by so many vendors from out of town that weren't here at the fall fair.
Please press any key on your touchtone keypad to remain in conference.
That already came up and approached me this weekend to book their spot for next year. Almost all the vendors from out of town came on Friday, stayed Friday, did the fall fair Saturday, and then stayed also on Sunday, visited our falls. One thing I would like to see if the fall fair goes through next year is a much better, bigger display from the district for to advertise for our falls and stuff, for everything that Tumbler Ridge has to offer. These out-of-town vendors also brought out-of-town family and out-of-town friends. It was unbelievable, the amount of people that came from Fort St. John that have never been to Tumbler Ridge. It's unbelievable how many times I heard that weekend, that they've lived in Fort St. John all their lives and never been here, and that they can't believe how beautiful it is. So it would be nice if we really had a lot more to showcase everything that Tumbler Ridge has to offer for tourism, for people to check out. As Diana was saying, yes, I would like to see a street dance afterwards, but only one of my reasonings for this is because I've heard it over and over and over again from people that are saying that it used to be in this town, that everyone absolutely used to love it, that it was so much fun, and would it be possible to bring back? We have more and more people coming into town every day, and it would be nice as a town, as a district, for us to offer more for people to do here instead of having to leave town to have fun things to do. And the fall fair was just, we have, for this year for the exhibits, for next year for the exhibits, we're going to make sure that everyone is registered a week before, so we know. So that way, if only one person has chili in, we can all whip one up, just in case, you know. Yeah, so, but we're also hoping this year to offer cash prizes for the exhibits. A lot of people from Fort St. John didn't realize that they could bring their largest pumpkin or their biggest squash. I already have been approached with so much interest, so we're going to get a lot more. Some people have asked that maybe we look at doing it in August. That I don't think so, because of GrizFest, number one, and number two, that's when everybody else's fall fairs are, and we don't want to compete. That third weekend in September, there's literally nothing going on anywhere. I was pretty proud of the fact that I took every vendor from the Fort St. John Farmers Market, and they had to cancel that day. I even had the person that runs the Fort St. John Farmers Market was at our fall fair. So we have a huge, huge interest for this year. And it would, any support from the district would be welcome. Thank you.
Another thing that we've done too is we're just starting talking with, well, I've spoken with Jenna from the Geopark, so that just trying to work on drawing other activities that are Geopark related into the fair, so that we can say that we incorporate the whole area of Tumbler Ridge. It's part of a grant, actually. So that's why we're doing it. But the grant person said you can't just be an ordinary fair. They're a dime a dozen. You have to have a reason. Why would people come here? And so the fall fair hike and the street dance and maybe ATV something or other, you know. It doesn't all have to be agriculture, but it's nice to also promote food sustainability, everything else like that. So we're off to a good start.
Another thing I forgot to mention is we also try to incorporate like our grads. I got all the vendors to donate something from their table for the grads, and the grads in turn took donations, and then they raffled off all those prizes from our vendors. So the grads benefited from that. They got all the donations from that. And also we made sure we dotted all our I's and crossed all our T's, and we are eligible for our $2,500 grant for this year. I have spoken with Karen from Prince George, and we were good to go. One thing that was sad was we wanted to donate, the Fall Fair Committee decided to give me a certain amount that I could give to any charity or anything, whether it be the grads or whatever. And if we would have given 1 cent of the Fall Fair money away, we weren't eligible for the grant. I had picked the food bank, Christmas hampers to give mine, and thankfully I talked to her beforehand, we were unable to. If we did, we lost our grant. So Cooper's Canning donated so much per jar, and I will for all the upcoming Passport to Christmas markets. And another vendor also donated, so right now we're still at $250 between myself and another vendor to go to the food bank. So they will still benefit from it.
Yeah, that was frustrating. The Saddle Club wanted to make a donation, and then we would match from the fair proceeds, and then we would, so the Saddle Club was choosing one recipient for a donation, and then because April had done so much work, we wanted to give her a matching donation from the fair proceeds, but we couldn't. So that was frustrating, because that's another thing, another community thing, is that the New Life Church donated the big bouncy castle and all the time that went with it. And never asked for a cent. And we even said, well, maybe if you build us, then we could pay you. And that wouldn't be a donation, but they didn't want to bill us, and so we were caught between a rock and a hard place and couldn't donate.
I also approached Amanda Blund and we kind of made a deal. She's going to help with all the children's games at the fall fair this year so that we have much more to offer for children, to get children of all ages to come out, and I in turn am going to help them with vendors for GrizFest. So we kind of made a shake on that, and that's how that all came about. So we're scratching each other's back. It's how it's gonna go.
Okay,
Any questions?
thank you for your presentation, and any questions, Council? Yeah, Councilor Cover.
I have two. You're looking for the district, you just asked for anything we can do, or what are you looking for from the district for next year, 2018?
Would be the tables, the chairs, and the porta potties again, I believe is what we're looking for. Other than that, we did pretty good. We had a budget of absolutely next to nothing. We charged $30 for vendors, which in the vendor world is nothing, it's peanuts. Everybody was happy to pay it, and we pretty well were able to do everything and had enough money left in the bank to get the grant. So we are looking at the district for the porta potties, the tables, and the chairs again, and we're pretty well good to do the rest on our own.
So that's just something that you can get it to us, because I mean, I think last year we had to do that, make a motion to do that. So maybe get that into Mr. Wall early, and then you won't be waiting for it, an answer. And the other question I had is, you made a comment in regards to the district being more involved for, what there is to do in Tumber Ridge for tourism and stuff like that. Was the chamber there?
Yes, the chamber came late. I'm not sure why, but the chamber came late, and I'm disappointed to say it was just that pamphlets were just flopped out on my table.
So the only reason I made that comment, or the reason I made that topic, I guess, is because they run our big center. So that's why, just because I mean, staff's pretty hands off of that. We have actually an organization that's paid by the district to run the big center, and I think that's why, I'll be honest with you, I'm not talking for Mr. Wall, but I would assume that's why district staff wasn't there during the tourism part, is because we have that already.
Yes, and it really was an issue where I was literally messaging the day of the fall fair and still could not get an answer if whether or not there would be a table put in with the district. When it first started, there was actually supposed to be a district kiosk where, there was a big tent and, showcasing our falls and stuff. And for some reason, I just didn't get the support, and I had to make a couple of nasty phone calls, and then eventually it did happen, but it happened late. And I would just like to, personally myself, I thought it was an embarrassment to you, the way that the district was presented at the fall fair. I really wanted everyone from out of town to be able to go up and ask, oh, well, where are these falls, and that just didn't happen.
So just on that embarrassment to the district, but really and truly, we have a chamber that runs our big center.
Yeah.
So really and truly, I actually don't believe it's our Jordan.
Oh, no, I don't mean that. I just mean that I don't mean an embarrassment to what the district did to showcase. I just mean that it was an embarrassment that we didn't showcase like we should have.
Like tourism wasn't there.
Right, yeah, and that's what we're all about, is tourism, right? And I really wanted a big, huge table, because here I am bragging to all these vendors that, oh my God, you gotta come here, you gotta check out, you live in Dawson, you've never been to Tumbler Ridge, you've gotta see this, you gotta see this, and there was nothing there. Eventually it was there, it just could have been presented much better, in my opinion.
Appreciate those comments.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, just a question back to Councilor Kauka and the rest of council, I guess. Is it the Chamber of Commerce job to promote tourism outside of the Visitor Information Center? Is it their job to attend these types of events? I don't know. That's why I'm asking if that's part of the service contract that we expected from them, or what? Does anybody know?
I just think that there should have been, like, I agree with you. That we really missed a chance to showcase what we had here. And whether it's the chamber or whether it's the geopark or who it is, that they should have been there. And I think they should be a letter sent to them and ask them to participate. And I'm sure we could, Marian, make some suggestions of what should happen there, because the kiosk should be there and it should have all that. It should have Crystal Falls. It should have all of that stuff there that they can do. And then not to mention Emperor's Challenge, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of stuff here now. And when we bring people from out of town, that's the time to show it off. I agree with you there.
One thing I will say, the geopark was there, and they loved it. They thought it was awesome. I talked to them later, and they said they really had a lot of people coming up and asking. So the geopark was present.
It could have been bigger.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff, it should have been something really big. Look what you can do down the ridge, I thought. I missed that part of it. I just didn't see anything there that really drew my attention to what I could do if I stayed down. But, you know, it's a learning thing, like we talked the other day. It's your first year.
Yep.
I think you did a heck of a job. I was impressed. Everybody I talked to there is, when we talk about entries into the stuff that was in the ones that out there, you're gonna have a lot more next year, because
I hope so.
I just think a lot of people didn't realize that they could do that. And,
Yeah, well, we have to upgrade the advertising for sure. And another thing is, we've had a lot of help actually in suggestions, and one was to start some challenges. So maybe the best Tumbler Ridge sunset photo could win $100, and you get sponsorship for that from a local business, hopefully, you know, something like that. So that, because if you can get somebody putting in a picture to try and win $100, they're also going to look at, oh, I could put that in, hopefully, you know, or I could put this other thing in, and then, you know, maybe we'll get more than 2 jars of jam, because that's what we had. It was the beginning. So.
Thanks. Actually, it's through to Mr. Walton. Who attends our trade shows?
Sometimes the chamber, sometimes the district, sometimes the geopark. On this event, both the chamber and the geopark had committed to going to the event, so the district wasn't going to go. There was no need for 3 tables to be there. When I got to the event, I found out that the district wasn't being represented there. We had been told beforehand that we would be.
And I also had been told you would be, until right at the very end, and all of a sudden it came up you weren't going to be. So, yes, or I would have let you know in much more, you know, where you guys could have done more. It's just I wasn't notified till last minute myself either.
We had the porta potties, that was important.
Yeah, not in the beginning. They put them right beside the stage. We got them to move them.
Okay. Anything else? Well, thank you for your presentation, and I'm sure everybody will pull up their socks with one next year. We'll have a better one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
And I appreciate everything you guys did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, takes us to correspondence. District Taylor, I kind of talked to the mayor, Taylor, and I saw that letter. I was asking if he wanted support. They're not, they weren't asking for support for it. They're just letting the Richard government know that they do want support. I mean, probably could be very.
Yep, received information.
Okay. All in favor? Ministry of Jobs, Trades and Technology.
For information?
Northern House, UPCM meeting.
Can we move this to discussion?
Seconder? Go ahead.
So just quick stuff. I mean, I read through it and everything else, and TR Cares gets $60,000 over 2 years for this, for service, for obviously transporting back and forth. I mean, I know we've sent a letter off to the doctors and I believe to TR Cares about having a meeting with them. Maybe we should see if we can have one of these guys either attend by phone call or maybe be present. There's some big heavy topics there, like me, I mean, obviously not history, but they did mention in regards to contacting their other people, communications officer, Northern Health, stuff like that. Maybe we can have one of them here this week. When we have that one with the doctors and TR Cares, I mean, that's.
I just think that, meeting with the doctors is getting our boards going the same way, so that we're all together and so that we don't have any disagreements along the way, in front of Northern Health, and then have them.
Okay.
But I think it would work better.
Yep, that's fine.
I agree with that. And then I think maybe for next year, for UBCM, once we get our kind of list or get ourselves organized with what we need here, then we can take that to UBCM next fall. So
Yeah.
regarding transportation, lack of counseling and stuff like that.
And we could even do it sooner than that if we get everything at that meeting, and if they'll come to us. Because UBCM is 15 minutes, so it's better to get them in here and, yeah. Okay, anything else? Okay, 6.4, NCLGA conference travel arrangements. I gotta say, this is probably a good idea. I don't know how everybody else feels. The drive to Fort Nelson is not fun. No,
Never been there, never heard of it.
but the bus ride to Fort Nelson would be fun.
Move for discussion.
Okay. Seconder? Kirby? Go ahead.
So is it just something maybe we should have our staff reach out to Goose Creek and maybe find out how many people are from our councils that we want, or even a number? And they know to get prices, like, I mean, they're just looking for,
Yeah.
you say there's 5 people going, maybe 7? Just see what the prices are, I mean, if they're making, they've done the first part by sending a letter, and we can say that, yeah, it sounds like we're interested.
I think they're trying to fill a bus. If
Yeah,
they
well,
can, they'll do it.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's true.
Thank you, Your Worship. The only concern I have is that they're leaving on the 6th and not returning till the 11th. And that's kind of where that's quite a few extra days it looks like to me. I mean, I could be interested, but at this point, it's, you could put a possibility down to go on that bus.
That's a little soon yet to actually confirm.
I would say for
I know,
myself.
that's why I say that.
So we could say, if it suits our needs.
Well-
we-
Well, usually NCLG is 3 days. And this is this is quite a few more days. This is 6 days. 4 days I would almost say is a max, like usually if you're driving to Prince George and back, you leave at the end. This is just, seems like a longer stay unless we're touring to the Yukon, coming back, I don't know, but,
Yeah, I never looked at the date. So,
Yeah, so I'm interested, but.
I'm not one for hanging around after.
Exactly.
So, I don't know, say we're not interested,
I would table it till, I don't know,
closer to it.
closer to it.
So we know,
They say with them, they're trying to find out now so they can actually try to find out costing and instead of trying to do last minute, right?
okay, if I'm attending, I would say no to the bus at this point, just for the length.
You can tell them maybe that we're just undecided until we know more about it. And maybe the concerns that the extra days that concern for us.
So I'm just looking here, it starts on the 7th, finishes on the 10th.
Usually if they finish on the 10th, they leave. It's usually over at noon.
It's over at 3. So, but anyway, you want me to let them know maybe if you leave earlier?
Go on.
What I can tell is not too much
Sure.
back and forth.
It might be easier if you just speak with the mayor of Poos and let him know kind of where council's feeling on that when
Yeah.
you'll see her on Thursday, right?
See you on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll tell her. 6.5, Tumber Ridge Sportsmen's Association.
For discussion?
Al? Go ahead.
I'm just curious if this is correct, to Mr. Wall, that we have access, roofing material sitting over behind the Vic Center.
I
As it
believe
states
so.
in this letter.
Yeah. Yes.
Is there any use of it for the district?
I would want us to check to make sure it's our property, first of all, because it could be the contractor's property that they left behind, so I'd want to follow up and just make sure that's the case, and if it is our property, we don't have any use for it, no.
So we need a recommendation for that, or you just come back and let us know, and then we can make a recommendation?
Or you make a recommendation that if we're able to donate it, and if not, I'll come back to you guys.
I'd make that recommendation that staff look into the roofing material that's left behind the Vic Center, and if we're able to donate it to the Sportsman Association, then we do.
Here for that? Okay, any more discussion on?
And maybe if we are going to be donating that, if we can get just a cost of, or a value of the materials that we're donating.
Do you want the value
Yeah,
before it's donated or
no,
after?
just when it is, if it is donated, I don't have a problem, just so that we know what kind of a donation we're making.
I remember talking that some of this roofing material showed up, which wasn't at the right length. So maybe that's what's sitting over there.
Probably is, yes.
Okay, all in favor? Tumber Ridge Museum Foundation.
Move for information.
Favor? Ministry of Children and Family Development. So Scott,
Move for information.
second. 6.8, Fournier.
Discussion?
Okay, go ahead.
Just wonder if staff has had a look at this, and if there's anything in this letter that is not quite right. Would this be something that we could have looked at or could do?
Mr. Wall?
Exactly how it's listed here, I would not understand how we could simply turn over management to individuals. There'd have to be, those individuals could incorporate, those individuals could form a nonprofit society, but to turn over a contract like that to an individual would sure be, and especially where it's talking about them coming on as district staff, well then now that's a union, and now so are there ways this could work? I'm sure there are, but as presented here, I'd have a lot of questions as to how it would work.
I mean, she raises a pretty good point here. I mean, there would be a good way to save money instead of doing 15 or whatever we're talking, $150,000 to the Visitor Information Center to run it. I mean, that would not be taken up by 2 employees who worked over there who would be at the end of the district to attend events similar to the Fall Fair when they're told that's part of what they're supposed to do. It is worthy of the conversation to think about. I mean, you know, of the $150,000 that we give the Chamber of Commerce to run it, the Chamber of Commerce uses some of that money to pay for other things over there as well. So, you know, as a way to save money, I mean, she does have a pretty good point here that, you know, could we look at, have we ever thought of that as running that as, you know, the district? I understand it could, you know, need union folks to run it and this and that, and perhaps it does or it doesn't, not as a contract, more as employees to run it ourselves, similar to what we do with the community center or something like that to save money.
I believe, and I could be wrong, but we used to run the Vic Center through the district staff. I'm not sure what the money amount was that they would pay through, but it used to be run by district staff. Or through the district,
Like the small one.
yeah. I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it used to be ran through the
You're
district.
right, it was running and it was hard work to get out of it because it was. I don't know, what we've got invested over there, I'd like to see it run right, so, I'm not saying they couldn't do it, but, I don't know, I think we got two choices here, I don't see it there. So, Councilor.
Not that I expect you to have that number, do you have a ballpark that used to cost the district to have ran by the district?
Good.
Just thought I'd ask.
It had lots of issues, it was the hours they were open,
It was huge, so it wasn't open as much as it is now.
no, it wasn't near what we got now. I think it was a mistake then, and I think it would be a mistake now. Anything else? Bylaw revision and consolidation, bylaw number 661, 2017.
That the bylaw revision and consolidation bylaw number 661, 2017 be read first time. And then bylaw revision consolidation bylaw 661. Oh, do we do
Okay, second one for the first time. Okay. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Okay, and second one?
That the bylaw revision and consolidation bylaw number 661, 2017 be read a second time.
Discussion? All in favor? And third time. Scott?
the bylaw revision and consolidation bylaw number 661, 2017 be read a third time?
Kirby? Discussion? Favor? Okay, new business. Sale of Mountain Park, RV Park. Recommendation? Falcon?
Council proceeds to operate the Moncton RV Park under the current operating structure and renews the operating agreement with the existing operator under the existing terms and conditions.
Seconder for that? Scott? Discussion? Councilor Craigo?
Thank you, Joe. So I don't understand why we still, again, I've read through the report and everything else, and I don't understand why it doesn't cost us anything to list it for sale. I don't understand. It's gonna cost about, even if it sits there for 3 years for sale, or it doesn't, we can still have an operator that operates it on behalf of the district, or have the district operate it, in whatever way council decides. It costs nothing for sale sign on this parcel. And if it does sell, it's one thing that we have less to maintain and take care of. That's just my thoughts on it.
Well, you got anything to add to that?
That's a discussion for council to have. What do you want to do with the property?
Thought that I have is that anybody purchasing this would have, would be going in competition with the district. We run the one down below here, and we have also been in discussions of building more sites. So really, what you'd be looking at if you bought that place, you'd be looking at your tax dollars going into competition with yourself. Think about it. Tax dollars going to the district, we're living flatbed. I don't think if we're losing money at flatbed, we're gonna quit running it. You know, I would think it would be a bad business decision, but I may be wrong.
I believe we don't run the flatbed campground, we actually have the Lions Club that takes care of it on our behalf and then gives us profits back. And I believe every year there's been a profit given back to the district, including the amazing upkeep of flatbed, including all the new gravel, new woodshed, new siding on the bathrooms, new LED lighting down there, new playground. Like, that's a huge investment that to me the Lions Club have done. I mean, don't take me wrong, obviously the district's not part of that. But the playground was done by a lot of businesses in town donated. So to me, we're not taking a loss down at flatbed when we see a part of the percentage come back to us.
But I'm not saying we take a loss, but I don't think we would shut it down if we were getting. That's all I'm saying.
My bad.
So you're competing with a campground that would run at a loss. Is what I'm saying if you bought Monkman Park. So to me, it wouldn't be a wise business decision to get into. You get one?
I guess it really comes down to is that something that we want to do? If we want to sell it, if we want to sell it, then I don't think what Councilor Kauka is suggesting is out of line by no means. And that's kind of what it comes down to.
So we could very easily just add on to that recommendation. That we use it for sale. We go the way it is right now. We use it for sale.
And would that be based on the I think there was a number in there that was by some council or an independent consultant looked at? Aspen Grove Properties, is it?
I just had a question about it. You're coming, it's not totally over. So the company that did the appraisal on it states in here, as proposed, $593,700 excluding the sandy dump. And then I see an alternate recommendation, which I didn't make because last time I made an alternate recommendation and it was really confusing for council. That's why I proceeded with recommendation from staff. And then number one alternative is the council proceeds to advertise for sale of Monkman RV Park online and per appropriate bylaws with a reserve tender bid of $700,000. The sales include the 55 RV parks, playground, the shower building, they exclude the sandy dump. But in the appraised value from this gentleman here in his paperwork, he says excluding the sandy dump, it's worth $593,700. That was as of September 30th, 2017.
Say that it was excluded or included, you said?
Excluding the sandy dump as proposed for $593,000. It's on page 2.
Right.
Well, sorry, page 46.
Right.
And then on page 44, we have an alternate recommendation, which is under number 1. It says excluding the sandy dump, just like his was, but for $700,000 instead of $593,000. Typo?
Was the wash bay, the new building, was that in there?
So the difference you're seeing in those numbers is the different types of appraisal. And when you're selling your business, you don't necessarily sell your business for the value of what you have on the ground. You sell your business for the value of your income stream. And based on comparable RV parks of similar size and income stream, that's what they're listed at. You'll look at the back of your reports. There's 2 listed of similar size with similar income streams. One's listed for 700 and one's listed for 650. And we've put a recommendation there to base it on income stream because we are selling a business, we're not selling a property.
So just back to what you were saying there, what would be the downside of us selling if we were able to selling Monkman RV Park? I didn't quite follow what you were saying
I
there.
wouldn't say that was downside for us. I think if somebody's gonna give us $700,000, I don't think anybody would say no.
Okay.
But I was thinking for a business to come along and say, I want to purchase that, with the idea in mind that the district runs the other campground in town. You're competing with your own taxes. So you're paying taxes in the district.
Like they may not want to buy it because we operate the other one?
Yeah. Maybe that didn't want to buy parcel. You know, I have no problem listing this, but I had somebody comes and say interested. Then you guys have to I just say.
I see what you're saying, yeah, I'm just trying to understand, like, to me, they're two completely separate businesses. That one is there's not plug-in parking there, there's not sandy down, well, that you gotta haul it out or whatever, right? But they've got water and stuff right at the one in the Lumpkin RV park. They are separate and similar. One is definitely more geared towards like camp accommodations or guys coming into work or whatever. The other one's based on holiday people or whatever. But, just trying to rack that through in my mind of how you.
See, the way I look at it, okay, yeah, they don't have power down there. But say we sold that for $700,000 and
Put power down there.
put power down there.
That's a
So
lot.
he's paying for part of the power.
Yeah, so I guess it's a lot of what ifs. I mean, I wouldn't want to do
Yeah.
that, right? But
Yeah.
to me, I'd like to see us not have to deal with the stuff that's related to the Moncton RV park. So
No, I agree. I'd like to see it sell for $700,000.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd also like to see it be put on the market as well. I think it can, it's there, we still have someone running it, and until then, and if someone's interested, that was part of the core service review, is to go and get, and try to sell off both the golf course and the RV park, and that's a step going forwards, I think.
Mr. Bob, could we just add that to this recommendation that we do this, plus we list it?
I would suggest voting this one down and then moving the alternative number 1.
Okay then. That's all the question on the first motion. All in favor? Opposed? Somebody want to make another recommendation?
go ahead. Joe. The council proceeds to advertise the sale of Moncton RV Park online and as per appropriate bylaws with a reserve tender bid of $700,000. The sale to include the 55 RV park sites, playground, and the shower buildings, but to exclude the sand.
Okay, second for that? Okay, my question there is, we're listing it, and then what are we doing in the meantime? We run it. If we don't want to.
Do they have a contract already for next year, or is it something that needs to go out?
Yeah, we have to renew the contract for next year, which if council, you can make that amendment to have us renew with the current operators, and then we'll build into the contract the possibility that it's sold if they're acceptable to it.
Should we not open this up to other people to bid on as well, instead of going with the same form?
I think it would be, would it not?
No, our recommendation is continue with the same proponent. Council, at your last opportunity to put it out to public tender, decided not to and to continue with the current operators. So we're continuing on that. If council wants to put it out to public competition, you can put it out to public competition.
We can pass this motion and we can discuss that at a later time.
Yeah, for sure. I'd rather see it go out to tender again myself. Give us your best bang for your buck.
So that's gonna come back to us anyway. Councilor Kirkuk.
So just on this one, the only thing, I mean, I was reading number 2 as well, is, I mean, if somebody comes in with a bid for $675, we're not taking it. $700,000. Number 2, they can be less or excessive of the $700,000. You just wondering where council sits again. I'm sorry, we can sell it for $685. I mean, do we have a cost of running it? Like when there's, like, I know we have proponents that take care of it. There's still service levels that's done by the district. Do we know what those numbers are this year?
Yes. Well, I don't know
Was
if
it in the
they're.
report? I mean,
I don't know if they're calculated for this year, but we do have them for previous years, and they will be calculated for this year. I can tell council, if somebody comes to me and offers me $675,000 for that RV park, I will bring that offer to council.
Okay.
favor? Okay, community center storage capacity review. Can we make a motion now to deal with this thing, or we can have like for the operation of the camp? Not the.
We'll bring that back to you if you
Oh,
like.
sorry, I missed that part. Yep, sorry.
8.2, community center storage capacity review. Recommendation there.
That council moves to 2018 budget discussions, the consideration of construction of a new storage building to be attached to the community center, and directs administration to report back with concept plans and costs associated to address storage and fitness and weight room center undersizing issues.
Seconder. Councilor Crockett. Discussion?
Thank you. I just have a couple things. I know we had this discussion last year too, and we talked about some sea cans and stuff being put up at Public Works Yard, and there's gonna be space made available, and there was supposed to be discussion in regards to how they're gonna get into these sea cans with the town locking the gate and stuff like that. I'm just wondering if we've gone anywhere with the sea can issue, going up at the, Public Works Yard in regards to junior rangers, senior rangers. There's other people that can use that in their town, and they just start building another building. I just curious if we've looked at that option, to try and get some of the stuff out of the rec center.
So later on in this agenda, there's another point that I'm going to bring up as well is about a running track an indoor running track that may be incorporated with it. I think this is just a preliminary discussion to look at the costs and throw out some other ideas that may also be involved in there, like the making the weight room bigger and whatever. To me, I don't want to see it as one report that says the cost is 2.7 million and you have to have all of this in it. I'd like to see it kind of broke down and how it could work. But definitely, we've got to get the ball rolling if we want to bring somebody in to do this. It's definitely not going to happen next year, but to get the report to look at it and ideas, I'd like to make sure that staff is open to different ideas if we're going to be starting to look at changing what we're doing in the community center. I think there's ample storage opportunities in the community center if we were able to utilize the area above the curling rink and places like that where we could put in a running track as well. But if we don't have somebody look at it and get some ideas of costs and where we're at, we're never going to get anywhere on it. So.
But it really just, I mean, it does say address storage and fitness and weight room center undersizing issues, but it really doesn't address what you just said. Unless we're going to make an amendment to this recommendation, but it just looks at in regards to storage and then address the storage and fitness and weight room. It doesn't really talk running track.
Fair enough.
Or anything like that. That's what scares me about this one here. Like, you know, that's clear direction given to staff with what we're asking in there, and that's where I see my concern.
Fair enough. Yeah, needs to be clear direction. Yeah.
Hey, Councilor Scott.
And then my concerns adding on to an existing building, that building is aging. Then we get into looking at possibly new structures and then space and like where are we going to add on if there's going to be an addition. I myself would like to see the community center cleaned up and utilized. There's a lot of storage space that are just junkies that people aren't using, so I think a good cleanup of the building would be necessary before we start building onto it.
Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Worship. I like the idea that Councillor Scott just brought up. I know just even with being a past board member of the Grista Society, like TRJ Society, trying to figure out what we have in some of the storage areas is a big task because it's here, there, and everywhere. The organization of all the groups' things, it's like, you know, that's maybe a good idea is just have a big spring clean, get rid of stuff. It's a good chance for groups to do kind of a bit of an inventory of what you have, what we're actually storing here, there, and everywhere, and figure out really what kind of needs we're going to need going forward. You know, that might be the first thing initially, get the groups involved and say, okay, it's time to clean up.
And when it comes to the community groups, I don't think there's any issue with going after C-cans and providing them. You know, this is what our plan is for next year. We're going to have C-cans. If you can't store it in C-cans, you need to make other arrangements. That's not the community center. It's not designed to be a storage center. But there is a lot of stuff that belongs to the district of Tumbler Ridge that needs to be stored and needs to be taken care of in there. The tables and the chairs, the woodworking room, the things like that they have in there, storage of pool equipment and stuff. So, you know, if that's, you know, a recommendation that may come down
At a later time is to get all that other shrapnel out of there and start.
fresh, I mean, if that's gonna give us enough room, but I think there's issues on just the way stuff is stored in the community center at this time.
Yeah, I know, I've seen, walk through there and there is some big stuff, so it's not gonna fit in that locker room or anything like that, so, you know, like, I have no issue with having a report come back with a concept plan to see what is possible. I agree with the CCAN idea, I think that should be where the groups put their stuff, and the hours of public works would be the hours they get their stuff. They'll have to plan it, but, you know, that's just something that could be handled, I'm sure. Yes?
Your Worship, I might be clearly non-remembering, but I thought we had this CCAN discussion, and I know there was talk about getting into it, and there was talk about building a different fence around so it was easier access for the groups and that. Maybe that has gone nowhere. Maybe that's something we need to, you know, have brought back again. And because I know there was talk about having, especially with the expansion of the yard, that yes, it looked like there would be an area. I know Rangers are out there. I believe the junior Rangers have one. If it hasn't had one, they're waiting for it to be shipped out or whatever through the Ranger program. I think it's a valuable thing to me. If it's not been done or not been clear enough to staff, that's something that maybe we should try to get back on the agenda. Is that CCAT thing for some of these non-for-profits and a spot for it. It's just my thoughts. And if we're talking about this motion, if we're going to amend it to talk about what Councillor Howe was talking about, I will support that. If we're not going to add anything, it's just going to be this, I will not support that.
I mean, that's something we can quite easily throw into our budget discussions right now.
Yep.
I mean, you know, we can move that as a motion tonight or councillor business or whatever, how you want to put it out there to you know, have staff get a hold of all the groups that are utilizing it, say who wants you know, this is what we're going to do for you. We're going to get CCAN containers and clean it up, see what community groups want CCAN containers. They come back and say there's 8 of them that want it. And we pick up 8 40-foot CCAN containers and pick an area maybe that's accessed, like the dump or something like that, where they can have a key card to get in and out, and or wherever. Maybe it doesn't need to be over in the district yard. It could be somewhere else. We have lots of spots, but I think that's maybe good to add that to tonight. You know, we're starting to get to the spot where Jordan's not looking for too much stuff to be added to his budget discussions, I know, so.
No, I think this is a discussion that can go farther, like there's, when you start, I know this is completely off track from this, but when you start talking about our free uses of the trend there, the room with the trend, and you look at our rec center, it's that L-shaped room is what the problem there is. What makes it has to be an L-shaped room is a bunch of chairs in the hallway there. I think it could be a big square room that could be it. Yeah, I think it's what they got over there, and I think that type of stuff. I'd like to have a discussion on different ideas of where that rec center can go. And I myself, I agree that they need storage because I've seen some of the big stuff taken around over there. If this is the answer, maybe it's not. So, I think it's worth more discussion, so that B&B or something.
Do we not have a lean-to already added on for storage on the curling rink side?
You know, that was suggested a few years ago, and then we voted it down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was.
So is this the area that we'd be looking at? But
Yeah,
I'm just wondering where.
I think that's kind of the area. It's just on the turning wing side of the hillside there.
It's one area we're looking at. Part of this would be bringing someone in to take a look at where the best place for it to go, you know, evaluate what's going to be stored there, how it gets moved around the building. We don't want to put storage in one area. Let's say we put all the tables downstairs and we need them upstairs, and now you're hauling tables up and downstairs all the time, right? So there needs to be some thought put into it, but that's definitely one of the areas that's been identified in the past.
Where do we want to go with this? But
I'm just wondering what Council I was talking about, if he's gonna put an amendment on this motion. And I won't support it the way it says, but the way you're talking about, you're looking at all the other ideas, unless that is staff's concept. It really doesn't detail it in this report. Okay, thank you. So I will support it the way it says like this, but if you're talking about like that, where we're gonna actually look at the whole thing, and to me, that makes more sense to me than just in regards to another storage building. I mean, I'm not saying we don't need it, but I know there's a building to the side of the curling rink that's been there for I'm not sure how many years. But it's still got, I believe, the old Zamboni in there and all that other stuff. So we have ample storage if we actually got rid of some of the stuff. So that's the only thing. If you're gonna make an amendment, I'll support it. The way it says.
I kind of think we need to move this to a P&P and have some a round
Either
table
or.
discussion about it and think about if there are, like the thing Councilor McPherson just brought up, I'd never thought about that before. It's a great idea. I know that people have talked about expanding the weight room, and some of the guys that work out down there have told me a couple of good ideas to do it. Other people have talked about moving it entirely out of that area so we have room for the children's center to expand. And so there are some neat ideas out there. I think that's our best bet on this, is to go to a P&P and more of a roundtable discussion P&P, a specific meeting for it, not at the end of one of these meetings for it, right?
yeah, and have plans of place so you can say this is the way this could be changed. I like that discussion.
And that way we can give proper direction to staff rather than try to take everybody's visions and throw it into it doesn't come out as anybody's liking to give them some real good direction. And then we also can find out what their thoughts are as well. Perhaps what they're talking about is a lot less than what we're thinking. Maybe it is just a small room added on to the side of the community center, or maybe both sides are one upstairs and one down. And to have a more roundtable discussion about it, I think is warranted, definitely going forward. So I'd like to see it as an individual meeting. I don't like the end P&P meetings.
No, they're not long enough. It could take a lot of discussion. Okay, well, on the motion that's on the floor, vote on that. In favor? Opposed? Okay, that's defeated. Mr. Wall, can you take direction to bring it to a P&P and be kind of like a special meeting, I guess?
Mayor McPherson, you can call any meeting you wish, so yeah, I can take that direction from
And
you.
if we had some information on the rec center there, and
I think we can get some maps. I think for council, you just need to think about what's the service level that you want. What services do you want to increase there? Is it more weight room space, more children's center space? You guys think about what services you want to provide at that meeting, and then we'll go back and take a look at what we've got and how we can change it.
can we also get some information on how the CCAN thing works? We've talked about the CCAN thing for a while, but I hear a lot of,
I know that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll follow up in an email to council on where that is.
Cost would be involved, how that could work. Okay, fire department policy review. Recommendation there? That's Judy.
The council rescinds all fire department policies contained in the District of Tumbler Ridge Policy Manual.
Secondary, Councilor Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Care Day Society, request meeting request. Councilor
That council receives this report for information.
Scott? More discussion on it? All in favor? Regular meetings.
Just wondering, just to ask councillors here tonight who will be attending the Mayor's Food Drive on Wednesday. That's good.
And do we want to decide when we're adding that community center storage, or will that be a special meeting?
You'll have to get some information together, but, one now?
I mean, it's really just floor plans that we provide to council. We have those readily available.
Any day. Monday.
I'm okay with that. Yep.
So just like a council meeting?
There's no facility.
It doesn't matter to me.
Which day was it?
December 11th.
Mid-afternoon, it's like say 1 o'clock on that day.
Yeah, I can do it anytime.
Yep. Okay.
1 o'clock?
Okay.
1 o'clock on, the 11th. Hey.
Thank you, Worship. Just in regards to the letters we sent out to the doctors and TR Cares, maybe if it's possible, if we are having council coming in on December 11th, we could possibly, if we get any replies, that could be a day that we could do the same. Or would that be too much in one day? I kind of like to get,
Yeah, in the morning, we could do it in the morning, I'd definitely like to do that as well.
I know that.
Have those letters and set out.
And there was no date on it?
Council didn't want to set a date, you wanted them to set the date.
Can we, get a hold of them, just suggest the 11th?
It's a day that works for us, in the morning.
Ready? All Season Priorities Committee. The welcome monument signs. I know which one I like. All but one part of it. Anybody want to start this? Let's try.
I'll start. I like design options 1, the various focal points. My only concern is if we have home at the Global Geopark down the road, if we don't need a designation, or what do we do with that? And then there's other things that have been long time in Tumbler Ridge, like the Emperor's Challenge or Grizzfest. Like there are things that have been happening for a long period of time too. So I was thinking if a person had those underneath somehow, on chains or whatever. I just don't think focusing on just one thing, that's Tumbler Ridge, like we've got a lot of
Thank you, Worship. I think having the geopark on here, this is, this was when we did the branding session, was taking something that makes us unique. And this is an international designation, and this does, like the Global Geopark is it is a unique designation, and I think having it on the signs I'm totally for that. I do like the idea of having an area where you can have, you know, just annual events that, you know, that say, you know, Empress Challenge this weekend, or, you know, but I think, you know, there should be no doubt in council's mind that we will not get the designation. We have got the right people behind that society that is gonna make sure that happens, and of course, we have already kind of given our backing as council to see that happen. So, you know, I'm very confident that the designation is going to happen, and that moving forward, we should, I think it's the unique part, it's just a unique addition to Tumbler Ridge. I don't know if I really like home of the Global Geopark, I like the heart of the Global Geopark, or enjoy our Global Geopark, but it's not the only one, but with the, you know, it does connect us to something a lot larger than, you know, that you know, an Empress Challenge or a Christmas would have. But I really like the sign that has the hanging portion on it. I think that's I really like that one, and I really like the monument, the last one, just the height of it. It's just it really stands out. I don't think there's a bad option here. I think these look really, really good. It's just gonna come down to cost. You know, we have 3 entrances in town, or 2 major entrances in town. We could, you know, offset one. I know that, you know, coming in from the Dawson side, I mean, that's what you're looking at, shark fin. So a lot of people like that idea. Coming in, you're gonna see that. But I think we have some great options to work with here.
Thank you, Worship. I totally agree. Actually, not that I'm always listening. I like number 3. I think, you know, if you want a picture against a sign, I've been to a few other communities, and you know, what I'm saying is, I look at Grand Cache, one of them. I've been on their website lots. I drive there quite often, and they have this big rock formation. It's got "Welcome to Grand Cache" on it. It's like, let's stop and take a picture. That's gold letter. This kind of gets them. I've stopped it. I even live in town. I'd stop there and get a picture. No disrespect, number 2, I wouldn't. I'm really not a big fan of number 2, but that's up to you guys. But the other 1 or 3, I like 3. I think 3 is amazing. I think with and I think you're right. The home of the Global Geopark. Maybe that's something that we have to use, but the heart of the Global Geopark or something like that. But I like how they have the head on there and all that. I think that's. Man, you know, it's a little bit much, but I don't know. I like that one.
Conceptually, I like the design of number 2 better. A couple of points that I'd make out that I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of wood. Wood seems to rot all the time, and that's why we're replacing the signs that we have right now. We are primarily a metallurgical coal mine town that we're founded on. To me, that should be a giant post of steel up there. And to me, I think you could probably go out and get donations for these types of signs if you were able to approach the Conuma Coals of the world to say perhaps we could get the steel from whatever steel factory in Japan that, you know, could make up the sign and have a bit of a story that goes along with where that steel came from, and a windmill in place to show which direction we're going in the future as well. It has to have lights. By any means, it has to have lights on it. But I'm not a big fan of the wood. I don't think, to me, that's got a Vancouver Island flair to it, like the cedar wood look down there, which is fine for them. But for us, I think we should be paying homage to our roots of a metallurgical coal mine town. As for what the writing is on the displays and that, I think that can certainly be talked about down the road. I'm also in favor of something that has a designation towards the geopark that is in Tumbler Ridge, whether it's the Tumbler Ridge Geopark or how you want to say it. I don't necessarily think it should say the home of the Global Geopark, because I think that there are more than one geopark and it could become confusing. It's confusing for me, and I live in a global geopark, so to me, the writing can be figured out or whatever, but I would way rather see us go to some amount of steel and approach some of the big people in town, even, you know, maybe Teck or somebody like that started the town, the coal mines at Quintet and Bull Moose, and approach them and say, that's, you know, we'd like to have the steel portion if you guys could support and donate this portion of it. We'd like to pay homage to that. And at that sign, you have some sign that, you know, gives a little breakdown of that. That this is where we, generated the ideas from the tourism, from the coal mining, and from the wind. This is the three things that are really generating and making up the makeup of Tumbler Ridge this time. For years and years, we fought to get wood and sawmills going in Tumbler Ridge. Yeah, we have a small community forest, but to me, that's not, we shouldn't be doing anything with wood on that side.
So yeah, just on that, I mean, I think a great idea in regards to steel. Like, the idea that wood is, it's something that's being carried through town now on all the, like, I mean, the fire hall proposal, the town hall building that's come in, it's got that. We're trying to blend it all together. Right? They're trying to, and that was one thing that was said, to try to go off the rec center and work your way around the town, right? So I think that's where the wood came into the sign, just like that. It's the same concept, I think. That's why the wood's there.
We did take a lot of wood off the rec center, though. The existing rec center were all wood
Yeah,
poles up
yeah,
front, and
sure.
stripped all that off and like a rock facade on it.
Sure.
To me,
Look
it's
at the
just,
Roman
it's
walkway though, right? Look at all the wind in the Roman walkway. Sure, it's under a roof.
Sure, yeah, but what we had out there was wood that rotted, right? And that's why we're in this situation that we are. Perhaps with steel, you go sandblast it, paint it, redo it, finish it. It's good for, another 10, 15 years, and you can change the sign on it from year to year. It's made out of, like brick and mortar is a better way to look at it, right? So, but
I still really like 3. Just saying that, I really like 3. I mean, even if you were to get rid of the wood there, Councillor Howell, you could do something there, but I think 3 is, it's there.
3 looks like every other town to me. I think
I don't
2
know.
looks unique. Have you ever seen one like 2?
Yeah, Jasper.
Jasper?
Yeah, Jasper, right? Welcome to BC, or welcome to British Columbia, has the same hanging sign there. Has the same, maybe not the same color rocks, but it does have a rock that hangs there. That's what that actually looks like to me from Jasper. That's what I see when I look there. Rocky Mountain House, Banff. That's what I see there. That's what I'm thinking about right now, is when you come in to the parkway there, they have a sign that hangs them. I don't know. I mean, it's wherever the boat goes. I don't
I'm
wait here with that.
I'm sold on 3 too.
Perfect.
Um,
All right.
and the reason I like it, and it can be steel themselves, like you have a bit of a point there. But it's huge. I look at it, when I looked at it, I look at the black kind of mountains under it, the coal.
Yep.
We're bigger now. That shows that it just says this is great, and I like your idea that home of the Global Jewel Park. But we need Global Jewel Park. So,
I like Councillor Howell's idea in regards to a windmill or something. It should be lit up.
yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, I'm not sure how close power it is, but I mean, a windmill with a backup system. I mean, why not?
I think that cost is in here. I think it was $25,000 or $20,000 for small windmills, 15 to 20,000. That includes the batteries, the battery box, the warming system, and everything. And I mean, if we could kind of hammer that price out, then I think you approach, a Capital Power, or perhaps in conjunction with Capital and Quality, or sorry, MECO, Pattern Energy, and say this is what the cost is. We'd love to put a windmill up there and have a designation on each one of the signs. I mean, we are talking about doing 3 of them, at least 3 of them. We haven't talked about doing the entrance from Chetwynd towards Tumbler Ridge, where there is also a sign to Tumbler Ridge as well. So, we're doing 3 of them there. That's $45,000 in that neighborhood that the wind companies might be interested in looking at, to have a little plaque on the backside that says this was donated by them and the steel was donated by Jack and whatever, right?
There's a name around the turbine.
Or Kanuma, yeah, exactly. So.
Thank you.
Instead of the turbines, could you use solar panels?
Yeah, we don't have solar in Tumbler Ridge. You could use it.
Don't they also work with solar panels too?
Not in Tumbler Ridge, they don't. Not really.
Just the windmills.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a windmill. You wouldn't want to break side to side either.
Right. Yeah, just for, just.
Yeah, optically, it's not gonna look great on top of it as well. I understand
No.
coming from, but, it could be a pedestal down the road, or,
Yeah.
on a power
Yeah.
pole,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
whatever they need to do to make it work.
So, what do we need here? Motion?
Like this
We
one
need
and the second one.
some direction, what sounds like, I don't even know.
Three,
You guys
two,
have
one,
talked
one,
about
two,
a whole
three?
bunch, yeah. So, you guys don't have to make your minds up tonight, it's the first time you've seen it. I would say that you should start being able to see the cost difference and the types of signs you're gonna get for that cost difference, and start getting comfortable with how much money you wanna spend on these. I think that would be step number one. If council's ready to give direction right now, then you can give direction. If not, you don't have to.
Yeah, I'm not ready for that. But can you just explain to me, like, I know like the windmill parts in here, can you explain to me maybe the thought process where they would be located? Because that thought process even been done or even discussed? Somebody had a comment here about being right in front or on the side.
That's gonna be an interesting,
So, like, that's what I'm wondering, how far are they gonna be allowed to be away? Where do they have, like,
where are we gonna put it where it's off the highway and not in the middle of trees where it's gonna block the wind? I really don't know the answer to that question. We're gonna have to go out there and take a look at it, but that's the big question for me, because our highways aren't those big cleared ones where you've got the huge, already on the entrance signs coming in from Dawson Creek, it's starting to cover the sign that we have. So where do we put windmills that won't get the wind blocked from the trees? I don't know the answer to that.
Thank you, Worship. The area that is, when you're first turning into Tumblr, that's right to the left there, that's kind of got an opening that,
right
Could
across
that
from the
be-
Cycle Club?
could that be a thought for, if we were gonna go with the concept 3, like the monument sign, to go in there, or is that already too far?
Like for the sign?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Too far, it has to be right on, it has to be, we're looking at putting it right where the existing sign is.
We can put it wherever council wants. So you can put just a regular traffic sign saying Tumblr Ridge this way, so people slow down, and then right when they get there, you could have that big sign right in that opening. One of the issue, you might want to build up a base there. You don't want this big, huge sign, because I believe that area is quite a bit lower than the road, so you might want to build a base up before you do that. But those are all overcomable problems. It's just where council wants to have it.
Why were we thinking?
I was just thinking on that area, right, when you're right across from the Saddle Club, if you're gonna put a sign like that, just, there's an option for parking and taking pictures, like pulling over. And it wouldn't matter if we have all these pieces on a sign that you can't really stop and get out and look at that where you are on the highway. So that's where it comes into play, is if you have a sign like number 3 in that area, and you also make it a bit of a parking lot where you can actually get out, take the pictures, look at it, because then you're spending the money and people are actually gonna get up there, get out of their vehicles, read what you've got to say, and enjoy it. It becomes a photo option. Otherwise, they're stopping on the highway, or they're just clicking as they drive by.
They're stopping, going to the ditch, like
Yeah.
people do. Because the only other thing there's a spot too, I'm not sure where it used to be there's no cement pad on the same side, like on the right side coming in. I'm not sure where it used to be there, it's a few. There's some cement pad, I'm not sure if it used to be,
Right.
let's say when the
It's
town
right
was
on the
first built or
corner.
whatever, like,
Yeah, bank.
okay, I was gonna say, I thought I heard it was a bank, but I wasn't sure, right, so there's that piece too. I know like everybody has their own things, but like to me, like the number 3 just sticks out.
Yeah.
I'm not a number 2 to hang, I don't mind number 1, but I liked it.
I like 2, both of them.
I like 1.
What about staff investigating that option, kind of putting the feelers out or emails out to the Capital Powers or the tech or Canoe, say we're looking at doing new signs for the town and we'd like you to be involved in it, and if you got some cost ideas from them, you say, we're looking at putting a windmill component in, and they may even have the expertise to help you install it or whatever, and they may say, yeah, we'll give you $25,000 towards it if you put in a steel beam, or have those conversations. Then it's a little more palatable to go to the number 3 that you guys all like, but the middle design is $25,000 cheaper, right? So you can get a 3rd extra sign built or 4th extra sign built for that amount of money, put it out by Chetna where we already have one, so we went to a cheaper option.
Another question. We'll be having a town hall meeting in the new year. Is this something that we would take to the public and see where their flavor is?
Good.
I think any one of the 3
Mhm.
is better than we got.
Oh, yes, yes, they
So,
definitely need to be
but
redone.
I'm sold on the number 3, but, I wouldn't almost crying because
Oh,
it's number 2. But, yes,
I would actually like to see number 2 and number 3. Myself, 2 entrance signs, and that would be, you know, I'd like to, you know, just think about that. The one thing about option 2 is that, you know, you have you do have a bit of the, you know, you can see our paleontological, you know, footprint there. It also has the shark fin and the cutout at the bottom, if you notice, it's, you know, and then it has the geopark. Like that one does kind of cover all, you know, some of the, you know, it's a good reference. Yeah.
still don't like it.
No,
So, just great, great options anyway.
It might not be a bad way to look at it as well, like instead of, why do they all have to be the same?
well, that's
Yeah,
what I liked
that's what I
about,
think, I like 2
Like
different entrance
these?
signs.
like doing one at one entrance and then the shark fin at another, and then if there was another geographical picture or whatever to put in for the third one.
Mr. Wall, sending a letter out to the wind companies that are Capital and Pattern and Borgia. Don't you think it's maybe a good idea before we get too involved with this? I mean, not that we're not gonna do it if they don't back it up, but it'd be nice to have them, like Councilor House says, they got the expertise. They maybe come up with something better, but,
That's council's direction, we can do that.
I think it'd be. Is council okay with that idea? We can pick our signs down the road even.
And as well as the coal mines as well, if, you know, everybody thinks that steel's the way or not.
Would steel be a much more expensive?
I'll bet you there's not
Cost
much
option?
difference.
No?
Yeah, that, it's gotta be good wood.
So the life expectancy of steel definitely would be longer.
It's part of the heritage, right? I like that. So that's why I say, do any ones that have wood, you can do them, that would be, or steel.
Yeah.
Better than hanging, wood, 3. Would stick out, right?
Right.
Or 3 would, I didn't even notice steel, right? Where on 2, you would notice, that might be different.
Even some type of a plaque representing that some of the funding towards this came from, and that's why we incorporated the steel into the structure. I think that's kind of a neat homage myself.
Yeah.
I like it, do it underneath.
Exactly, yeah.
So, I guess I'd send a letter out to industry to see if they'd be interested in partnering with something.
Make sure we just, that we include the Anglo-Americans, the Tech, the Canoe Coal, whoever was kind of here or is still here in town that may be interested in doing it. Tech is, you know, usually a pretty good community partner as well. I know they're not fired up yet, but it's something they might be really in on. They were here for a long time, so.
I guess that would be one reason to, like a design. So that you can send, this is what we're planning to do, would you like to be part of it?
That's what I would, Your Worship, that's what I was gonna say, maybe we're kind of jumping the gun on the letter out, because we haven't really decided, they're gonna say, which option do you like, well, we haven't decided, we're gonna have a town hall meeting, we're gonna bring it up, so maybe, you know, is, you know, sending them pictures, saying we'll be having an open forum or talking, and if you have any ideas, you know, how your company could add or participate in this would be something, but we don't have anything really set yet, so, and, I don't know.
I think if you, sorry, I just think if you're gonna send them pictures, and obviously for a coal mining company, if you're talking about incorporating steel and you're showing them giant wood beams in the pictures, you know, you'd have to say, you know, the conversation's been had in council and they would like to go towards steel. Now, if that's a conversation, we have to decide that's what we wanna do or not, but, you know, to me, that's like the flair I get around the table, so that I would prefer to go to steel, but
I would.
you would not.
No, I think there's places for it, but I like the wood beams. I think they add, they look good.
I like the idea of the steel, I mean, it represents a community, you know, you get the geopark on there, but before the geopark came, coal mine.
That's right.
What built the community of Tum Ridge, coal mine? What's coal mine makes? I like it, and I think you can incorporate it anywhere. I mean, I also think the black rock in some of these pictures is supposed to represent the coal.
Yeah.
Right, and you got the layered rock supposed to represent some of the mountain. I mean, that's kind of how I read and looked at it when I was looking at it. I mean, the wood, I got what the idea of the wood was to follow through what we've already been doing in the community, and I think that's why the representation of wood. I mean, it doesn't need. I like the idea of changing it to steel. I think steel would. I think this makes sense, especially anybody that's grown here or everything. That's a big representation. And anybody coming new to this community, never been here before.
If you read it anyways, right?
Yeah.
Read it.
But people do if you're a tourism. That's what you do. I mean, I'll be honest. Can't come back 'cause I hear anyways. When I first moved to Tum Ridge, I didn't stop to take pictures of that side. Something like that, I live here, and I still would take a picture.
I did.
Does council want to see updated designs with steel?
Can we?
Would we have costs available too?
We can take a look at that.
Okay. I'd be interested in the cost difference.
I'd be interested to see what the picture
What can we agree on though? We can agree that we all want it lit up, right?
Yeah, it's gotta be done.
Regardless, it's got to be lit up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one common point that we have,
Yeah.
but, and what about, do we all want it to be the same? Like, are we all, does anyone think they all need to be the same sign, or does Joanne's idea of having 2 and 3,
I have no issue.
you know, have a different one on the way in from Chetwynd as you have on the way out towards Dawson? Or?
Yeah, I honestly think that number one could go,
That could be a cheaper option there as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not only it's.
And the one that looks like a grain elevator could go on the way to Dawson Creek.
that wasn't nice. Yeah, so we get concepts with the steel, and then
If you could provide that in a motion, though, your worship.
that,
Can you provide that in a motion, though?
somebody dedicate that.
Yeah. We would like, council would like to see the 3 design options incorporating steel. Got that. We don't have to make a motion for letters to go out to the,
No, well, I thought we were gonna get the pictures with steel, then we'll,
okay.
so we can send them a picture of it, say this is what we're looking at. Be nice to have the pictures, each one's included with the steel, just so we.
Yep.
Okay.
Just before we move off that, I may regret putting it back out there, but is there any other design changes you guys want to see, just to see, well, what it would look like with this, what it would look like with that? It's, you know, sending it back to our designers is a good time to look at other changes. If you guys are happy with everything else, that's fine, but if there's other changes, now is a good time to take a look at it.
I think it was just the wording.
Yeah, I think to change the wording, I don't know.
I wouldn't worry too much about
Okay,
the
that's
wording
Yeah,
right now.
we could
Yeah.
do that.
I wasn't sure.
And like, just so that they make sure that the steel is prominent. If they're gonna add steel into it, I mean, just changing the color on the drawing may not give you the flair that you want if it's actually a steel I-beam or something like that. You know, obviously it could look a little ugly that as well, but however they could manipulate it to make it, you know, more appealing.
Thank you, worship. Also, maybe to see design 3 with the shark fin instead, just to, you know, maybe a couple of options there.
Now we have the
Bit of
Titanic there.
I think that's what that's supposed to be, shipyard.
yeah, that's it. But just, it's coming from Dawson, the shark fin might, just to see what that would look like in that sign.
Good for that? Okay.
Yeah, there was a motion. I just don't see it listed on our. No, I don't see it listed.
Number 10.
Action summary?
The action summary, the core service review, and strategic planning are all included in the schedule of meetings. That's when council normally talks about it.
We could talk about that. Okay, here's the motion. Councilor Howell.
So these were all just budget things that we talked about before, just to put it into a formal discussion. So 10.1 is the concrete blocks of the golf course. The council includes the cost for concrete blocks at the golf course parking lot, mini wallet lockers for the hockey dressing rooms, and mini seats for the arena in the 2018 capital budget discussions. So again, this is not saying that we're going to do it for sure, it's just to get the costs associated with it and see what we can do with it. The concrete blocks, the idea behind that is the siding on the golf course gets beat up with rocks in the wintertime for people doing donuts down there. And also it becomes a parking issue with people getting blocked in. Last year I'd seen 2 vehicles that were 3-way parked, so that whoever came out was parked, they couldn't get out because there's no designation of where they need to park. It's a free-for-all down there. And mini seats in the arena and wallets in the hockey dressing rooms, that just comes from something I've seen in other arenas that we go to. And the mini seats could just be done in a section. Basically, it's just to support the lower back. It's better for the aging population. And that's all I got on that. Just look for costs on it.
So we're looking that to be a motion, and any second report? Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Second. Any other discussion on it?
I was just wondering if we could break those out separately. Instead of voting on all 3. Because I might be in favor of one, but
Sure.
not.
Okay.
But all we're looking for here is costs on this.
When
I'm
they,
not saying we're gonna do
when you have a motion like this where you've got items that aren't connected to each other, if one council requests them to be broken out, they automatically have to be broken out. So with that request, council now has to vote on them separately.
it. Okay.
We'll start with the first one. The council includes the cost for concrete blocks at the golf course parking lot in the 2018 capital budget discussions.
Second. Councilor Gaga. Discussion. All in favor?
Second one, the council includes the costs for mini wallet lockers in the hockey dressing rooms in the 2018 capital budget discussions.
Discussion on that? All in favor?
The council includes costs for concrete blocks.
Vote to that?
Yeah.
The council includes the cost for concrete blocks at the golf course park, or sorry, the council includes costs for the mini seats in the arena for the 2018 capital budget discussions.
Discussion. All in favor? Opposed?
So 10.2, I'm not going to continue on with that one. I'm going to bring that back to our P&P meeting, and we'll discuss that at that time. There's a few other things in that one as well, the way that one is looked at as well, but I think we'll put that at the P&P meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor McPherson. Just at that PMP meeting, if we're going to have this as a topic of discussion, we have somewhere in the vault there plans for a splash park that were put together. If we could have those plans at that meeting?
I think we also have the extended skate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
skateboard
well, yeah,
plans
those,
too.
yeah. So if we could have that, that would be great.
So we'll leave that one, we're going to move on to
Yep. 10.3.
So this is to do with aligning the doors of the community center. Seen some people trying to get in and out of there, staff as well, trying to get in and out with tables. The doors don't line up because we ordered the wrong set for the outside of the building. So as the doors slide open, if you're actually in a wheelchair, you need to go in and get turned in the in the area and then come back out through the other door. Yeah, it's gonna be a cost, but it should have been fixed properly in the beginning. And I just wanna know what the cost would be to do it at this point. Obviously, we're not gonna do it, just, I've heard some outlandish numbers of what that would cost us to get done, but, so, I'd like to put the motion on the floor that council request administration provide preliminary budget numbers for lining the community center front doors.
Seconder? Any more discussion? Scott?
Would this be a budget issue or is it a maintenance issue? Like, are we looking at having to order new doors or is it just something that needs?
It's gonna cost money, so it'd be a budget issue.
And we don't really know what it's gonna cost. Like, I have heard that you can turn the sensors around and this and that, but either way, it is gonna cost money to do it. I mean, it's something that was overlooked, I think, in the beginning.
I have to tell you the truth, I never noticed it until just recently because you mentioned it. And you're right, I don't think one of those back. So, yeah, we're just asking for a price on that too, so. Any more discussion on it? All in favor?
Point 4 is the Skype calls. That administration develops a system to allow for some type of Skype call-in for council, and it doesn't have to be Skype, but some type of system that is a little bit better than this, that we can have visual, if wanted, if preferred. Just again, looking for the costs.
Go ahead.
I think, is this for, like, if it was for a council, if it was for my purpose to phone in and be Skype, I probably wouldn't like the option myself. The trouble is when you're phoning in, it's harder for the person who's phoning in to hear. I think this system works good for us, but it's the calling, and I don't know if Skype would actually benefit that. Unless you're having a delegation, if you want it for someone that's calling in, like if it's lawyers or something else, I don't know how many people would use that. And maybe Mr. Wall, if he could tell us if we've needed that in the past, Skype.
It's really a determination of what council feels you need.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I'm just wondering if something in here we can just ask staff. Like I said, it actually asks administration to provide a preliminary budget number for the administration develops a system to allow for Skype calls, so we're actually asking them to do something on numbers. Maybe we can.
I changed the recommendation though as I read it.
Okay, wow.
Just for looking for costs.
Okay, I'm wondering if we can just put it back to staff instead of just on Skype. Maybe there's a better system out there. Like maybe there's just a better phone system.
And that was part of what I read out as well.
Okay.
And that's to do with, like, I'd like to see them, when we read motions, that it gets typed up, gets put on the TV, so that we all have the same motion, we all voting on the same one. I'd love to see a system like that in here as well, along with this.
Just on that system, I believe staff brought a recommendation for it in last year's budget in regards to doing tablet inserts in here. I could be wrong. And the expense of it, I know I wasn't willing to support the expense of it, so maybe that's something that, instead of having to do this, maybe we should ask them to bring that back. Or at least that number, which is obviously might have gone up a bit, but it's gonna be the same boat, but it's, that's one of the things was turned down because of the cost. It was to do it right here in front of us, so obviously we'd probably see the motion right away. There was a huge cost to it. But that's something that maybe we want them to bring that back.
Can I have that motion read back?
We're gonna need it read again.
Did I say I didn't? Yeah,
So, just so council knows, when you've got notices of motion, those are supposed to be the notices of motion. If you want to change your notice of motion, you need,
To contact you?
no, you need unanimous consent of council, because it's not about administration, it's about your fellow councillors. They've prepared and the public's prepared for the motions that are here.
Yeah, it didn't quite capture what we were trying to do with that one. Again, that was a costing as well. I wasn't looking to just put the system in, I was looking for costing as well. So that's why I wanted to read that out. And I guess it's on me that I didn't get back to you in time to get it changed again, to get it put in. But that's,
So, is everybody on council okay with changing that Councilor Howell would change that motion? Anybody got a problem with that? Okay.
that administration looks into the costs for the 2018 budget for a system that allows for Skype-type calls in council meetings, or a similar system.
With that,
I do, yeah.
a seconder for that, Councilor Kuka. Any more discussion on it? Councilor Kuka?
I'd actually just like to ask Mr. Wall, maybe he can remember, and maybe you can, I don't expect you, if you can't answer it. The system that we brought forward last year's budget, was it something not similar to that, had that in there as well?
Had the Skype system
Like
in
something
here?
like that or no?
No, it did not have Skype.
The new phone system?
The system that was proposed was electronic voting, and new microphones, and I believe a new teleconference system, yes. But I'll have to double check on that.
I gotta say, the meetings I've been involved with, that they had Skype, haven't worked very well. So there might be a better thing out there, but the ones I've been involved in, it's actually worse than what we've had. There seems to be a time lag. But anyway, maybe there's a better system.
The big issue we're gonna have with it, because we took a look into having, I believe it was one of the Bear meetings, we were looking to have somebody Skype into it. The problem is we've got a video recording system already hooked up into the computer to record the video conferencing, and to get a second video system running on the same computer is where we're gonna run into issues. It might be possible for council to see people, but it's likely not gonna be possible for anybody to see you. And then whatever lag issues we run into, we're at the mercy of Telus here, so.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, danger trees.
Okay, so the last one is that the district ceases the removal of danger trees is the motion that I'd like to put on the board. I'd like to speak to it a little bit. I'm not against us removing danger trees when it's warranted, but I've found in the past few springs and summers when I've gone out and seen the danger trees that are removed, the trees are still green and they're in areas that, in my mind, don't need to be removed at all, and we're paying for somebody to go through and spend the time to cut these trees down and then leave the trees on the ground and not do any of the cleanup on it. So until we can figure out a better way or have staff come back to us with a better way, I would like to see us cease that process that we're doing at this time, however the system is going, because I don't particularly like to see the green trees on the ground, and it's been something that's been brought to my attention 2 or 3 times now in town meetings, that people have asked me why we're continuing to cut down green trees in the community when half the trees are dying and we're going out and chopping all these green ones down. So that's I just, at this point, I'd like to see us stop doing it, and that's the motion.
Seconder? Okay. Discussion.
I won't be able to vote in favor of this until we have something else set in plan to replace it. You know, say we're just gonna stop cutting down dangerous trees, and then what happens in the meantime until we come up with a different solution? I'd like to see a solution before we just cease.
Yeah. Councilor Kuka.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat. I think that, you know, ceasing that operation and then something does happen with a dangerous tree, staff could not direct somebody to cut it down. I think that puts us at a risk. I mean, it may or may not. I'd like to see it, I mean, it might not be at this time, be able to put that motion forward, but having them come back with a different recommendation or maybe a report back on it. Like, I know they are cutting, I mean, there is sometimes tons of trees cut down, I think green and dead, and they are sometimes just left there. Sometimes they're bucked up, sometimes they're hauled into their truck and hauled out of town. I'd be curious the price tag that we are on budget with these guys that are doing our dangerous tree removal, and if we pay mileage. So, I mean, I won't make that motion tonight, I can talk to Mr. Waldo, bring it forward to the next meeting or the workshop. Because I think that's something that we need to have a look at too. Is it? But I think if you, I can't support that saying that we're gonna cut, removing dangerous trees just for that purpose. If there is one along our trailway and we haven't removed it, something happens.
Councilor Scott?
Yeah, I would like to see a report back on that too, and see, do we have a policy in place, who determines which ones should be removed.
Yeah.
I know up top, there was a bunch of dead standing trees, and they've been there for years, so, to me, we do need to have the danger trees removed, but I don't know who determines who removes them.
I agree with the council that I can support this the way it's worded for sure. And I think we do have experts on worker boards on some trees, so I don't know what trees you're talking about. The green ones. I've seen some green ones fall and do a lot of damage, and why they fell, I don't know. But I sure can't support this the way it is. So I think we should be looking at some kind of maybe policy that I'm sure we have. Like say we've got experts that work. There's Duncan, for one, and who's Forster, and we have our public works. And I don't think anybody really wants to cut down a green tree.
So just on, and I could be wrong, I'd be curious to see comment come back from Mr. Wall, if it's staff that actually goes out and designates danger trees, or do we have an arborist that's on contract?
There's both, but if council wants to talk about those specific procedures, I think that's a conversation for later.
Can I remove that?
No, it's already
It has to be voted on?
We gotta vote
Okay.
on it. Okay. All in favor? Opposed?
With that, can I add something else or change? Can I ask for, or does it have to be the notice that was there?
I think if it's to do with that, I think you have to come back with another one.
Okay.
I think stocking staff would be a
Sure.
good idea.
That's what we do.
Okay, council's business. Does anybody have anything to share? Councilor Kirkcalkin?
Yeah, I don't have anything to share, I mean, I apologize if action items are up with the other ones, cause I obviously missed it. I'm just curious in regards to TRU's Society Movie Nights report. I know it still says awaiting a response from them, and is that still the case?
We followed up with them again after I brought it back to council and said we'd received no response. Requested that it be removed from the action items, and council gave me direction to follow up with them again. We followed up with them again, and we're still awaiting a response.
Yes, the Geopark board was wondering if I could ask council what they would prefer if, when the Geopark comes in and updates on the designation, and just how it's moving forward, would you prefer it as a delegation or a roundtable? So we can talk about, certain things that are going on.
I personally think the round table thing.
Roundtable? Okay, because the Geopark would like to just kind of update council, so I will let them know that roundtable is kind of what you'd like to see.
So just on this roundtable, it was like board to board again. I'm not a big fan. I mean, I like the idea of a delegation and thing, but I know I wasn't here at the meeting, but it was approved to have a board to board with the chamber. It wasn't more of a roundtable; it was more of a board to board. I think that's for our staff to do. I mean, if they want to give an update, I think it should be a delegation. I mean, if there's more stuff that we need to be in depth, I think that's when we decide to invite the doctors or TR carers or them. But to me, it should be a delegation. I mean, if we're gonna do a lot of these board to boards, I mean, there's other groups out there that could want to come and do the same thing. So if we're gonna open it up, to me, we're opening it up for all groups.
Okay.
And it may not be just groups either, right? It could be just businesses that want to have a roundtable discussion with council. That's my concern.
Well, they may want to, but if we deem it important enough to have a roundtable discussion, then that's our choice as council. There are certain topics that I feel that we don't give enough time to and enough information that we don't really focus and key in on because it gets added into the report. And if we as a council deem that meeting strong enough to have a roundtable discussion about it, if it's a hot enough topic, I think it deserves the time if we decide. But like I say, if the ladies that were here about the TR Fall Fair or whatever want to have a similar one, and their request is just to have some type of a donation, we don't need to have a roundtable for that. We can decide that at the end of the meeting. But if it's something that is critical as the Geopark, then the the money we've sunk in to go.
No, and I
into
agree with you.
Geo
I'm
Park.
just saying, to me, it's, you know, I mean, that's what delegation's for. I mean, I know we allot 15 minutes, but it doesn't mean it can't be extended. I mean, it has been in the past. I mean, some of their delegations are done in 5 minutes, and it's us that keeps it going for half hour and there's questions and comments. Right? So it doesn't mean that those people can't come as a delegation and you know, everybody knows they're on the council wicket on a Monday night. If they spend a half hour or 45 minutes giving it, I have no issues with that.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, I don't want the Geo Park coming every time it's a special meeting either. You know, it depends on the designation that she's talking about, and if we had more details on what she's talking about, then you know.
No, but that's what we just heard. We heard it in regards to that, and everybody's like, oh, round table. You know,
If,
you know,
but what is it, right? That's.
but she's gonna go back and tell them that we're included in the community round table. We don't even know what it's all about. And delegation they can
No,
spend an hour there talking.
Fair enough, yeah.
So that's just my thoughts. Like,
Yeah, no, I agree. If it's not important enough to, you know, to know what it is, like, it doesn't make sense, but if it's not important enough to warrant a roundtable discussion, then delegation should be fine. You know, I don't want it every time they come in and they give us a special meeting.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We
but
never
don't know
have,
what it's about.
we never have the people show up for it.
Yeah, and I think it's the time it takes to update, and if counselors have lots of questions, you know, it allows for more time just to, because they have a lot of things going on, and it might take too much time in a delegation, but they're open to either, they just wanted an opinion.
You know, the reason I say roundtable with them is that we're going into this 2018 when they get recertified, and I'd like to know where they're at with that. Lots of questions I have. Just involved in that twinning thing the other day. That was pretty exciting stuff, and it's I don't know. I'd like to be able to sit down and just you talk. When you're just sitting at the round table, that I talk better.
Well, it's different. You're not looking down. I totally agree with that, but I'm just saying, like, I know there's comments that TR Cares wants to come in on a round table too.
Well, like,
Right, so that's all I'm asking of, yeah, but
we look at that and
but
say,
we don't know how important this conversation is if it's just an update. What's the update about? Give us some more information so we can decide on it.
Okay.
Round table or as a delegation, like that's just my thing.
well, I guess.
Round table, we're tying staff up tonight, and we tie them up on a round table. Then we're gonna go after Mr. Wall because this is done, this is done. But yeah, he's been tied up in 3 meetings this week on round tables. And we never thought of it.
Yeah.
That's my only thoughts, right? And they will attend.
So you could have them come as a delegation if we want more information, we say, well, come get you back.
That's good.
How about that?
Yep.
And nothing against you, Council
No,
Kirby, it's
no.
just, I just look at staff, like we had the other round table here and we were concerned whether their staff should have been in the room or not. Right, so I mean, and then we wonder why, like, you know, I mean, and I know we hammer things out and list of stuff we've done, then we go back to, what's all I've done? Well, last week we had 3 round tables, guys.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's my only concern.
Also had, I think everybody had an email about snow removal this past long weekend. I noticed on Facebook that Dawson Creek puts out a schedule of snow removal and how they go from, you know, priority to how snow removal is done. I don't know if that's something we can look into down the road, but just, you know, just our priority streets first done. I directed them to talk to staff if they had questions. Also, I noticed, did anybody notice the icicles hanging from our lamps posted? And I was a little bit scared of that. I don't know. That's the first time I've ever seen icicles that large hanging over the sidewalks on Willow. But I don't know. It could be just the way the weather was this weekend and the heat's in it. But I know I was like, helmets. I also talked with someone from TR Cares, and they're there's an urgency to get that meeting with the doctors and TR Cares and Northern Health. So I'm glad the letters are gone out. Hopefully they can get here for December 11th. I know they'd probably like it before the end of November, but I think that's going to be pushing it. That's it.
Sorry, I missed one thing. I actually had a piece of paper wrote down because Councilor Kirby had already hit it, and that's regards to snow removal. You know, I was on Facebook too, and I seen some comments from other councilors and stuff like that. And I just wanted to say to staff, explain my post in regards to Messer. I don't get on Facebook too much and get into the big conversations about it. You guys do an amazing job in Tumble Ridge. I mean, I'm from other mountain communities, and let me tell you, Tumble Ridge does the best job ever. And I think that's where a lot of our complaints come in, is because you guys do so well. they expect it, you know, on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, everything should be cleared, but I, you know, to your staff, through Mr. Wall to Mr. Beal. You know, I've thanked some of your staff the last couple of days, but I mean, please make sure, I mean, I'm pretty sure all council sits up here and is fairly happy, and I mean, I would hope our residents realize how much you guys are actually doing. You know, especially with broken down equipment. I did post the bylaw on Facebook in regards to sidewalks when, you know, people are so concerned about the children walking on the street, which is a safety concern. I definitely support that. But get out and help the guys when we have equipment breakdowns. I mean, shovel your walkway, help us out. So I just hats off to you guys. You guys do an amazing job too. Thank you, Your Worship.
I had that down here too. Congratulations, staff, on that snow removal, because I think you do a heck. Anything else?
Just going to bring up the Murray River watershed. It might be another ask of 10,000 just to going into the 2018 budget to continue with that committee. So there will be a report forthcoming. So just I'll be putting that motion forward. And there will be also a Building Healthy Communities Committee report, and we're touching base on the issues with Northern Health. And I think the last meeting was pretty neat. There was some talk on things we could do as a community regarding like in-town transportation, counseling services for the kids and stuff like that. So, and then just getting pamphlets or things out there. That's not in the newspaper. On ways to let the schools and parents and the community know what services we do have. And so this meeting with Northern Health in that in December will be really good to take back to this group. That's it.
Anything else? Question and answer period. Good.
Yes, we're good.
Adjournment. Favor?
So council, I see there's a few of us that probably grew up with the Partridge family. Just let you know, Dave Cassidy passed away.
What?
Just putting that out there.
You didn't say nothing about Malcolm Young though. What's going on?
And the